We Are ND Nation podcast, a new era of Irish football with your host, me, Evan J. Thomas, and my new co-host, Dennis Stover, as we will bring you special guests throughout the season. We will go deep with your Irish football coverage in a way that you haven't seen or heard before. Dennis and Evan are just two best friends, lifelong Irish fans, bringing you the best Notre Dame football coverage, analysis, and our opinions on a weekly basis. You can watch or listen to the We Are ND Nation podcast on YouTube every Friday during the season on wearendnation.com. Follow us on the socials. We are ND Nation. Go Irish. Welcome, Irish fans, to the We Are ND Nation podcast. I am Evan J. Thomas. With me is my co-host, Dennis Stover. And today we have special guest, former Notre Dame running back, who played under the tutelage of the legendary coach Lou Holtz. We have Lee Becton. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
So I appreciate you finally making it. It's been like 3 years in the making, finally getting you on. Our schedule's never really made up until now. So thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us. What have you been up to lately? I mean, what's going on with Lee in your world?
Well, I'm a mortgage lender. I lend in 48 states, so things are busy right now. And then golfing, trying to golf as much as I can.
I do see your golf excursions all the time, so it's pretty fun to watch you do that.
Yeah, it's a great pastime to have. You get to get out there and, with a bunch of great people and talk and converse, and, it's just great.
And you're really still involved with the team as well. So, I mean, you're at most of the games. I mean, you're in tune with the team currently. I mean, what's your state right now and what you think and where Notre Dame is going with the transition from Brian Kelly to Freeman?
Well, just from some of the things that I've seen, there's a big difference on the attitude and the understanding of what Notre Dame is all about. I don't think that was embraced as much under the Brian Kelly era. And Marcus has, or Coach Freeman, he has really done his homework. He's embraced it. He wants to make sure that every player fully understands the true meaning behind Notre Dame and the traditions and, the guys that came before you. So I feel there's a new excitement around the program that sometimes isn't equated in wins and losses. It's about a feeling that you get every time you step on campus.
And actually, I think Dennis said the exact same thing last week in our first episode. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, obviously we see the energy change. We went from the CEO Brian Kelly to the more player-friendly Coach Freeman, so that's been pretty cool. We have a jam-packed show. I don't want to keep you too long, so we're going to kind of get right at it. I mean, we're at week 1 coming up, just a couple days away. Holy shit. I mean, oh, my God. We're going to be playing at Ohio State Saturday night in front of, probably one of the most massive crowds of the year. We have a 6:30 game. Like I said, number 2, Ohio State at number 5, at home against number 5 Notre Dame at Ohio Stadium. The spread, Ohio State plus 17.5 with an over-under of 59. Wow.
Yeah, a lot.
So, yeah, what is this, like the 5th time that a number 5 has been this much of a spread in a starting game? Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off the show. We have our breakout offensive and defensive players for the year, and I'm gonna start with Dennis. So since you have, we've been talking about this off and on the past few weeks anyway, I'm gonna start off. Who is your offensive player that you think is going to break out? I was going over the depth chart yesterday, so I was kind of picking mine off of that.
Well, I think we could see a little bit of Mr. Becton's era, if you will, in the way they ran the ball when he was there. So I think they're gonna, with the line coming back and how much they return with the offensive lineman, Harry Houston coming back, I'm gonna go, and maybe this is too obvious of a choice, but Chris Tyree, I've been waiting for him to go off all year. He's pretty special. I guess I'm gonna go with him because I would like to pick a receiver, you know, and obviously Michael Mayer, but I think we'll be able to run the ball this year, if anything. Hopefully Buckner can throw, but with Tyree, and then he can get some rest with Diggs and Estime as backups, the kid could get some touches and just explode.
And Lee, what do you have as your offensive pick of the season, your breakout star?
Man, this is crazy, but mine is the same player for a lot of the same reasons. I think our offensive line is going to be a lot better. I think that a lot more emphasis is being put on the running game. So you can't just consistently be doing pass pro blocking, and as that being a part of your run game. I think we're going to actually try to dominate the line of scrimmage and create space for Chris. And I think he's going to have a really breakout year.
Okay, so we got 2 for Chris Tyree. I'm messing this one up. My original pick, it's almost too obvious. I have Buckner as the pick, but he almost has to like succeed for this team to do well, is my thought. But so what I'm going with, I went off the beaten path receiver. I went with Jaden Thomas, wide receiver, just because somebody else after the injury to Davis, somebody else has to step up. Obviously, we have Mayer still at tight end, but I just think somebody else that just hasn't had a name yet, who hasn't had many catches yet, is going to just pop out of nowhere. So I'm thinking that's where it's going to start. So, I mean, you guys, obviously, you like the running backs. I like the wide receiver. Obviously, you know where you guys stand, especially with the offensive line coming back like they are. So,
you know, hopefully we do have a receiver that has a breakout year. You know, we are a little thin there. So it would be nice for someone to step up.
Definitely would be. And like you said, I mean, if anybody could step out outside of the tight ends, that would be fantastic. And with the offensive line, utilize that running back position. You got 3 studs right there coming at you this year.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
use them.
And they're deep in offensive line too. I think I read something just today with Patterson. Mayer may not be questionable for the start against Ohio State, but you got Rocco Spindler, and the list goes on. So,
all right, going to the defensive side, who is your pick to go? I'm going to start with Lee this time. Who do you think is going to be the standout?
I mean, you can't go wrong with Foskey, can you?
No.
I mean, it's not going to be something new, but I just think he's going to continue his dominant ways and just get just much better. The guy's he's a beast, and you know, he came back for a reason. That tells me a lot. He came back for a reason, so I expect us to see a dominant performance from him throughout the season.
And our defense is stacked with upperclassmen too. I mean, it's mostly seniors. There's like 2 juniors kind of mixed in there. Dennis, who do you have coming up as your defensive player, either of the year or just not even player of the year, just your breakout player?
I'm gonna just repeat what Lee said, because I mean he came back for a reason. Exactly. One, you know, there is really good. I mean, we gotta beat Ohio State, but there is a really good chance that this could be a pretty special team. You know, especially nobody saw the '93 team coming, and I just have that sense that if we beat Ohio State and set a tone early, yeah, he's gonna beat Tuck's record, and I think Al Golden's gonna have him revved up. Al Washington, the new defensive line coach, and again, they're so deep that defensive end, he can get rotations, stay healthy, and just go completely nuts and eat some quarterbacks up.
I mean, you guys have never met each other before today, and so far you're the same players on both sides of the ball. God damn, come on, man. All right. Well, again, I'm going to go against you both. Well, not really against, because why not have multiple players that can be awesome? I'm going Cam Hart, cornerback, junior.
Yeah.
Just because somebody has to fill that role that Kyle Hamilton had after he graduated and went to where did you say the Ravens? He was drafted by. So Cam Hart, and like you said, that defensive, those DBs, man, they have to protect because that D line to me is, like you said, going to be sick with the rotations that they have. They're going to be coming after the quarterback. And I just think the DBs are kind of going to have a bigger year just because they have to be more in tune with what the offense of the other team is doing. So they have to be right there with that. Agree? Disagree?
No, agree. I maybe
Totally.
if I was going to defensive back, I might say Brandon Joseph or who's going to play next to Joseph. But yeah,
I went Cam Hart. Just because.
no, Cam Hart's great. He's great. He could be a possible top 3 draft pick or top 3 rounds. Excuse me.
Top 3 round. Okay, so
Yeah,
top, 100 and so picks or so. Not too shabby.
hey, still that's pretty
Can't go
good.
wrong. I mean, how many?
That's really good. Coming the fact that he was a wide receiver when he was first came to Notre Dame.
For sure. And we're going to do our picks of the year. Start each game. Now, do we start with the Ohio State game or do we wait till the end for that one? What do you say? I don't know. I think we wait till the end.
Let's wait to the end.
I agree.
What's that? Go to the end? Yes, I think so too. All right, so we're going to start this off. We have, all right, well, obviously week 1 is this week at Ohio State, but week 2, our home opener against Marshall at home on September 10th. All right, who wants to go first? Dennis, I'm going to give
Sure.
it to you.
I'll go first. I'm going to say I don't have a score, but I'm going to say a lot to a little.
Yeah, I'm not
Depending
doing
on-
scores. I just want to know winner.
Oh, Notre Dame, big. They're going to be, depending on what happens this weekend. Yeah, they'll get it. First home game for Marcus Freeman. There'll be a lot of excitement, buzz. Yeah, Notre Dame, big.
There's a lot of energy that definitely will be there because, yeah, it'll be his first home game as a coach. So, yeah, well, I mean, you got to bring it. Lee, what do you got as your opening home game, Notre Dame versus Marshall?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame wins big. I think that we come out, we dominate both sides of the line of scrimmage, and it won't be a contest early.
There you go. And I also have Notre Dame winning this game, and I'm not going to say a blowout. I'm going to say it's going to be a little bit closer than you guys think, probably within 14 points, just because that offense has to kind of get going. So we'll, like you said, we'll see after this week to see how that offense is going to click anyway, to see how we would play against Marshall. All right, Dennis, game 3 versus Cal at home. What do you got?
Notre Dame. It's again probably it should be a good margin, especially 2 games under the belt. Another home game, good atmosphere. Pac-10 is the Pac-10, and yeah.
All right, Lee, what do you got? Game 3.
I got Notre Dame. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. There will be once again a lot of excitement around campus. I think we're a better team.
And again, I have Cal winning as well. And obviously, we've heard the rumors that they might be one of the next teams that might be coming to the Big Ten. So you never know what might be happening with that. See what happens.
Never know.
So far, we're all 2-0 except for the Ohio State game, which we will get done at the end of this. All right, game 4 at UNC. What do you got, Dennis?
North Carolina, it'll be a little closer. Obviously, it'll be at home, and North Carolina, be jacked up. And Mac Brown isn't, obviously not a terrible coach, but they lost a couple things, and they really underperformed last year. I don't know if they'll get anything back. So Notre Dame, maybe close, maybe a couple field goals, touchdown, score.
So you have Notre Dame winning that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. Lee, what do you got? UNC.
Prior to this, or prior to seeing North Carolina play, granted it was against far less FCS team. I would have said Notre Dame by a lot, but Carolina has some weapons. They've got some weapons on offense. Defensively, they're very opportunistic. So I think we will win, but it will definitely be a close game.
Okay, so far you guys are all 3-0, at least up until that point. I have this as have it as a loss. So I don't know. I'm not going to say why. I really don't know why.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be their hiccup of the year. Last year, I picked the Wisconsin game. Obviously, they won that, and they ended up losing. Oh, crap, I don't remember who they lost to last year. But, yeah, this year, UNC is
They lost to Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, that's right. That horrible game against Ritter. Whew, that was bad. So, all right, that's my one loss so far. The next week, we have a bye week, and then we go to BYU. Dennis, who do you got at BYU?
This is the hardest game, I think, to pick on the schedule, honestly. I'm going to say Notre Dame's inspired by their uniforms, rest after a bye week, and they haven't lost a Shamrock Series game.
That's right. It is a Shamrock Series game.
So I say they can pull it out in a tough one. And BYU is going to be rolling, and BYU will probably be rolling, but I think Notre Dame can squeeze it out.
So that's a Vegas game at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah.
All right, Lee, what do you got at you or Las Vegas?
Yeah, I still got Notre Dame. Yeah, there's no real reason other than I just think we're a better team than they are.
There you go.
There it is.
And I also picked Notre Dame for the win. Next game will be at home against Stanford. Dennis, what you got?
ND, Stanford's not the Stanford of, earlier,
The
10 years ago, if that,
Buck years.
Yeah. So, and ND at home, it might be a blowout too at night. It would be pretty ugly.
There you go. Lee, what do you got?
I got Notre Dame. Yeah, Stanford's got a lot of issues right now.
That they do, and I am also picking again Notre Dame for the win. The next one is at home against UNLV. When was the last time we played UNLV?
I think this is the first time they've ever played them.
I was going to say, I don't even recall even my knowledge. I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going with a win on this. This should be a pretty easy game. This should be one of their cush games in the middle of the season. Dennis, I'm going to have you go next.
Notre Dame, yeah.
Lee?
Same, Indy.
All right, so you guys have yet to have a loss, at least without the Ohio State game. Next up on the schedule will be at Syracuse. That was actually one of the last games I've attended, was the Shamrock Series at New York, where I got to hang out with Dennis in New York before I went to the game. I am picking Notre Dame over Syracuse. Dennis, you.
Syracuse, Jesus. Notre Dame.
I'm picking the orange? Come on.
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
There you go. Man, we are just rolling through the wins. Let's hope it's actually that. Now we got another orange team. We're going to be at home against Clemson. Dennis, what do you think about this one?
I think Clemson is going to this game reminds me of the first when Georgia came to South Bend and should have won that game. And I think it'll be one of those games. I think it'll be one of those games where it's like we have it and we may give it away at the end or something. They may make a play. But yeah, I'm going to take Clemson.
Ooh, you're going Clemson. All right, Lee, what do you got?
I'm going Clemson. I similar. I just think this is. I think Clemson's going to be a lot better than they were last year. They started the season off 4-3 and then rattled off 7 straight wins. I think they take that momentum into this season, and they're going to be pretty good.
All right, I am actually taking Notre Dame to squeak this one out, just because I think this is going to be probably the biggest signature win, obviously, of Freeman's tenure so far. So there you go. I'm picking Notre Dame over Clemson. Next is at Navy. Dennis, what do you got?
Notre Dame.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Lee, should I even ask?
Notre Dame.
And I also have Notre Dame. And for the November 19th at home against Boston College, our last home game, that will be our senior night. And Dennis, what do you have on that one?
It could be maybe a little emotional early on because is Dracovic still? He's coming back, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So he could play a little inspired, but Notre Dame ends up getting it big. So
Gotcha. Lee, what do you got?
Notre Dame.
And that would actually be, I think, the 17th anniversary of my first game with Dennis.
yeah, I'm gonna try to make it. I want to try to get.
So that's November 19th. It was actually against Syracuse, and when we went in 2004, 2005 was my first game. I am picking Boston College, and then
You're picking Boston College to win?
No, I'm sorry. I'm picking Notre Dame at home against Boston College. I know what I meant. I just didn't say it right. So there you go. Notre Dame. And then last game of the year at USC, November 26th. Dennis, what are you rolling with this one?
ND. I don't know why people are putting them on such a pedestal. He hasn't done anything. I mean, it's going to be a good game, and I'm not going to – SC's always tough, but I think Notre Dame is going to be good. And Lincoln Riley never had a defense at Oklahoma, so what makes him think they're going to have a defense at USC? But I digress.
Lee, what do you got with this one?
Yeah, I'm going with Notre Dame. They brought in, Lincoln Riley, and they brought in a really good quarterback, a good receiver. But they still have some issues on the offensive line and their defense. There's still some holes in their defense. So I'll put our defensive front up against their offensive line any day, and Notre Dame for the win.
Okay. And I am also picking Notre Dame to beat USC at USC. So far we are all, 9-1? 10-1?
Yeah. We each picked one loss.
Up to this point. All right. So before we get to our final prediction of the Ohio State game, I want to go to a quick little break. And before we go to break, Dennis and I play the game, name that former ND player. Hopefully Dennis doesn't get it within one pick this week like he did last week. That was freaking crazy. It was never done before. Malik Zaire was good, but not that good. And that was amazing. So, Dennis, you ready for this one?
I am.
Okay, let me find where my stats were. That would always help, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I actually had them. I got too many things up on my board right now, so that's what sucks. Come on, move!
You need two computers there, man.
I do need two computers. Actually, I have three. I just didn't do the other one. Oh, crap. Are you serious? Oh, here we go. All right. And this player was a running back. Total attempts, 347. Total yards on the ground, 2,029. Averaged 5.8 yards per carry. 12 total rushing touchdowns on his career. Dennis, do you have an idea?
And did you give me the years last week?
I did not, because that would probably give
All right, I'm going to go out and say the same number that Lee Becton wore and say Ryan Grant.
Okay, well, you can make that after our break, and then you can decide who it is. I will give you the years after we come back, all right?
Cool.
All right, so stay right here. We'll be back here on the We Are ND Nation podcast. Dennis Stover, Lee Becton, Evan J. Thomas. Give us 1 minute. We'll be right back. Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central. Join me, Evan J. Thomas, for an hour of new rock and metal on the Rock Hard with Evan J. Thomas Show on the Badass Radio Network. Blast that shit. All right, back here on the We Are ND Nation podcast. Thank you, Irish fans, for checking us out. I am Evan J. Thomas, my co-host Dennis Stover. We got special guest Lee Becton. And before the break, I gave Dennis the name that former ND player, and I'll give him the stats once again. So, total attempts, rushing 347, total rushing yards 2,029, average 5.8 yards per carry, 12 total touchdowns. The years this player played was 1991 to 1994. Dennis?
I was wrong.
Name that player.
91 to 94. Man. You're going to get me and say it's I should know that is it Lee? It is, isn't it? Yeah. What?
That guy right here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. See, it was the year. I would have got it at first if it would have gave the years, no brainer. But
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
that was probably too easy for me to give that on the day that I actually have Lee on the show.
I like it though. You
But-
got me. It was the 12 touchdowns that threw me off. I would have thought Lee had more, honestly.
Well, senior, what was it? Junior year, you were like a beast out there. 6 touchdowns, 1,000 yards rushing. My man, right there.
Yeah,
Good season.
Fantastic.
Good, very good season. Obviously, that was a game that you were your MVP of the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, that's right.
So Dennis knows more than I do about Notre Dame history, so I
was watching that game. I see it now. So
I do appreciate.
I just got to say, first and foremost, Lee, I'm kind of giddy, but thank you for giving me arguably, if not the greatest game experience I've ever witnessed in my 46 years of life. So really, thank you for your 25-yard run and being on a number 1 team, and it's very special. So thank you.
I made sure I shocked Dennis with you having on too. So that was
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're very welcome. It was one of the best decisions I've made. It was an honor to wear the blue and gold, and if I had to go back and do it again, I'd do the same thing.
there you go, my man. Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's Notre Dame, and you were with Lou Holtz and that team that you were with, incredible. So, again, thank you guys for being here. And we're going to go to our preview of the Ohio State game, what to expect this coming week. I'm going to just start off, since we did our last segment was the scores overall. I'm going to go with Dennis. What do you have this week's prediction? What is your prediction for this week looking like?
Okay, so we're going to give a little score and just talk about the game a little bit.
Let's do it.
Well, the pundits are saying this could arguably be one of the greatest offenses in college football history, even though we just saw one a couple years ago with Joe Burrow and LSU, what they were doing. So with that being said, and they're little, if Ohio State does have any kind of weakness or Achilles heel, their defense, but they still have great. It's like it's so silly to say, but if anything, I think it's going to come down to obviously our defense versus their offense, and our defense is good, so I like our chances there. I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout, maybe just because it's wishful thinking, but I'm thinking Ohio State by 10. I don't really have a score, because if Ohio State they can score at will, and if they do that, it's going to be hard for us to catch up unless our offense is clicking, and it very well could. Ohio State by 10. It's going to be nice, and I think what's going to be an edge though for Notre Dame is Marcus Freeman knows Ohio State. He knows the environment, and it won't be so big because obviously a reflection of the team is the coach, and I think the moment's not going to be too big for them because Marcus Freeman knows Ohio State, and let's face it, that guy is infectious. So I think they'll play with at least a chip on their shoulder and some aggressive and not some boneheaded plays. But
what do you?
In the end of the day, they'll be a little short.
What do you see coming from the offense? How do you see the offense just clicking against Ohio State?
I think they're going to establish that. They're going to have that mantra, like I said last week, and they're going to line up, and they're going to hit you in the face, they're going to play football physically. You're going to know who's across from you for the whole game, for the whole duration. They're going to have a little swagger and an edge to them that I think that we haven't seen in a minute. I don't think the O-line is going to be soft like we've seen in the last years, even though they shouldn't have been soft. So I think it'll be the O-line will get off, and I think we can have some good yards on the ground.
There you go. All right, so you have Ohio State winning the first game of the year.
Yeah, unfortunately, by 10. No, I mean I'm not looking for a moral victory because I hate that saying. It's absurd. But I want to see. I feel like we're at a place where we haven't been, because you go back and look at the years prior, and we didn't do very well at all against the top 10 teams. You go back to what Holtz was doing from 89 to 93 or 88 to 93. It's ridiculous, and that's what I think. Knock on wood, that we will have with this team and future teams to come, is they're gonna actually be there in those big games.
There you go. Lee, what are you expecting from this week in your prediction?
Oh, well, so it's a little, I wouldn't say complicated, but it can go either way, meaning I think that if our defense plays well enough and keeps the game in the 20s, I think we win. And I think we would win something like 27-24.
Okay.
If Ohio State makes it to the 30s, they're probably going to make it to the 40s, and it's going to be a blowout. So everything is going to rely on our defense. Yes, our offense is unproven, but I think we're going to do the right thing. And this is where I think that we can help our defense out and keep the score in the 20s where we need it. I think we're going to run the ball. I think we're going to run it effectively. If you look back last year, the teams that beat Ohio State, they ran the ball. They ran it well.
Sure.
Now they've got a new defensive coordinator. But you come in and you still got the same players. So you could change your scheme, but you can't change their ability to tackle. So I actually think that it's going to be a close game. If we get it in the 20s, we win. If they score over 30 points, they're going to us out.
I like it.
Okay, so we're
I hope you're right.
I'm winning.
I hope you're right.
I'm going. You know what? I'm going with Notre Dame.
Woo!
Glad somebody has that.
I would love to be wrong. Trust me.
Jeez.
I'll happily be wrong.
That's exactly what I'm going to say here too. I'm hoping to be wrong because what I'm picking is Ohio State actually a 38-31 victory. So I'm only doing the 7-point spread. I think Notre Dame is going to keep it very close, and unfortunately, just because of the high-powered offense from Ohio State, I just think C.J. Stroud is just heading above most any other quarterbacks out there right now, and he's just going to put it on us. And I hate to say that, but our defense, even though we do have a lot of studs out there, they can shred up some defenses, especially with running backs and receivers. But fortunately, I do have Notre Dame losing the opening game against Ohio State. I do think Buckner is going to do pretty well, though. That's my thought. Yes? No? Yeah.
No, but he should do well.
Should do well. I mean, he should be at least. We're hoping, right? We're just hoping he's decent. At least better than decent.
I just need him to be decisive.
Yes.
You're going to do. A couple of years ago with Ian, and then last year with Jake, there were some situations that actually one of them was in the bowl game when Oklahoma State was coming back. He had 20 yards in front of him. And I know he's not a runner, but you got to take those yardage, and you got to be decisive about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if he's decisive, does his reads, but more importantly, if he's going to run, be decisive when he's going to run and go. I think that's how he needs to play to be successful.
Okay, so
I agree.
Go ahead,
I think they're going to put him in situations though where it's not going to be like where Brian Kelly would put him in situations. I think Tommy Rees is going to be a little more. Even though Reese has been calling the plays the last couple of years, I understand that, but it's a coaching. They didn't stick with the run long enough either, and I think that's an advantageous to Buckner because one, he can run, and then two, it'll give him time to be decisive and hopefully be able to sit in the pocket or play action. But yeah, they can't take stupid sacks. A lot of times it just
lay down. And the way I'm looking at it now, if you go back to our picks for the season, Lee has the team 11-1. Dennis and I has Notre Dame at 10-2. Do you think they'll be hitting any playoffs? I say no, but I say a big bowl.
I mean, at 11-1, if Lee's goes, that could be depending on what
11-1,
happens.
they'll be in the playoff.
Yeah. I think we got a halfway decent chance. My only issue would be is if my loss is accurate, it's so late in the season that
Right.
hurts you
That
more
hurts.
than a loss early. So, but I think we got as good a chance as anyone.
As we should. And I'm just hoping as long as Bama doesn't take it, we're good.
It's that 13th game. I'm telling you, it's the 13th game.
Yeah.
We can't slip up. That's the only thing.
Yep, we actually do have a few moments left, so I just want to thank both of you guys for being here. Lee, thank you so much for making it on this week and putting time in your schedule. You have a fantasy football draft tonight. Where are you picking?
Oh, you know what? I got my dates wrong. It's not tonight.
Oh, okay. Then,
Yeah, so I'm good.
Well, you do have a fantasy football draft. I had number 3 overall. I ended up picking Derrick Henry was available. So how could you go wrong with Derrick Henry?
You cannot go wrong with Derrick Henry.
I wanted Cooper Kupp because I figured Derrick would be gone, but I got Henry. I'm happy. I didn't get the draft because I was in St. Louis. So I had somebody draft for me. Dennis, thank you. As always, my man.
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing Lee Becton on, too.
Wow. It was amazing. Maybe we'll have to bring you on again later this year as well. I'm going to try not to harass you too much on Facebook. But
You're fine. You're fine. If I've got the time, I'll be happy to do it.
That is true. You are very
great.
kind and gracious when you have that. Where can we find you? Where are you on the socials? Do you want to give your business name or anything?
I mean, I'm easily found. You can Google Becton Lending Group or just Google my name. It always comes up. So, like I said, I do 48 states. So,
You're all over.
chances are, whatever state you're in, I can help you.
Right.
I'm in Illinois. Dennis is in New York. And there you go.
Dennis, I can't help.
Poor guy. And again, we are ND Nation. I am Evan J. Thomas, my co-host Dennis Stover, Lee Becton. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and at wearendnation.com. We have week 1 coming up. We have 2 of the 3 of us picking a Notre Dame loss. But Lee, let's hope that we have a victory coming Saturday night at Ohio State. So there it is.
Yeah, let's go.
All
Go
right.
Irish.
So until next week, thank you guys all for watching. Thank you guys for listening. For Dennis, for Lee, I am Evan J. Thomas. Rock on and go Irish.
Go Irish.
Go Irish. And fuck
Thank you
Michigan.
guys. Look, I'm going to stop the recording here.